Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be episode 2 of How to Take It Apart, where we cover more obscure firearms that are still quite usable and great implements in the field or on the range. And we learn how to take them apart, discuss anything that is important to know simply about the mechanics of the gun, and we don't really give a review. We simply disassemble it, and if necessary, after comments, there will be reassembly videos if people have troubles. For the most part, though, these guns will be exact reverses with sometimes few tricks to get back together. However, this one's going to be very simple. The model that you see in front of you is a J.C. Higgins Model 20 12 gauge. It's a 2 3/4 inch barrel, proof tested steel. This is an early 50s production. It is the second generation. The first generation had a screw retaining piece that retained the carrier plate to the bolt itself. So this is the second model, which simply uses interlocking design. It is a single action bar steel receiver 12 gauge pump shotgun. They were also offered in 16 and 20 gauges in 2 3/4 inch chambers. It was produced by High Standard. Under High Standard, it was sold as the Model 200. This specific one has approximately a 20 or 22 inch barrel that has a ventilated rib, 2 beads, rear bead is ivory, forward bead is a brass bead, on top of the Power Pack choke system. This has the long range, which is the modified to improve modified. Almost sort of full, but not quite. Really what it acts like is a compensator, and we'll get a shot of that when we take the choke tube actually out of the compensator itself. This is more of the deluxe version. You've got very high, not super high grade, but you've got a nice wood and aluminum plate on the buttstock to write your name on or have it pencil engraved at the store, things like that. Again, this is going to be the same exact gun as the High Standard Model 200. However, the J.C. Higgins is going to be a lot more prevalent as High Standard made these for Sears and Roebuck. Without any more gabbing, we've got all of our pertinent tools, couple punches, pokey bits, soft piece of pen cap here to help be gentle, and a small flathead screwdriver and a larger flathead screwdriver. So let's get started. Now the first thing you want to do is, just like any other gun, safety check it. Now this is a Mossberg-esque design. Its heritage comes from the Remington Model 31 from back in the early 30s. Very good shotgun, that one, but you'll notice it's very reminiscent of a Model 700, or excuse me, 500 Mossberg, especially the action. It is no surprise that the Model 500 and subsequent models based on it took after this and subsequently the Model 31 Remington in the late 50s, early 60s, and onward. So, like the Mossberg, you've got a takedown pin, except the Mossberg has 2. This one, you've just got 1. So I'm going to take my pen cap here and be gentle on it so I do not mar up the finish. This is a high gloss blue finish. It's a very beautiful gun, at least in my opinion. And I'm going to get it started here, and then I can just, once it's started, use my pen cap to push it most of the way through. And there it is, sticking out the end. It is a tapered screw. There we are in the camera there. Not a screw, but a pin. Now I'm going to put the gun upside down, and I'm going to lift up in the trigger assembly, pulling it forward. Now you're going to hear something clang. Once I get this out, oh, it didn't make a big clanging sound, but what falls immediately into your action is going to be the retention bar and actuation bar, both to keep rounds in the magazine, but also works within the action. I can't, off the top of my head, quite remember exactly what this mechanically does other than retain the cartridges, but it is significant, it is important, does need to be in the gun. I'm going to set that right next to the trigger pack. Now, the next thing we're going to do is, if you're used to a Mossberg, this will be fairly similar. We're going to pull the action back, and there's going to be cutouts in the receiver. And my pin is sliding here, let me get that. So these cutouts, patented plastic pen pointer, are right here and here. Opens up the receiver a little bit, and what this is going to do is allow you to remove the carrier plate. Now we're going to reach down in, and I like to grab the back tab of the carrier plate and sort of just wiggle it loose. If you can't get it, you can always turn the gun upside down and it likes to fall out. It's kind of like a wiggle, shove it forward. This one's not cooperating with me today, so I'm going to turn it upside down, and there we go, falls right out. set that aside. It's just a machined piece of steel. Nothing super fancy there. Now you notice that your pump moves very freely. So what you can do now is push your bolt forward and pull your action bar back slightly. Well, actually put your bolt in the middle. Forgot about that. Pull your action bar all the way back. Now what I like to do is get the lifter up and sort of get the bolt up back, and it's going to be a little bit of a fun escapade here trying to get these things to cooperate. But you want to get the bolt down below the lifter. There we go. Now you want to pull back, and at the same time you kind of push in and pop. I don't know if you quite saw what I did there, but essentially you're trying to pinch the lifter in, and it's going to come right out. And there she is. She's a little dirty, but this one is also jeweled on the front where it's exposed in the action. Very beautiful piece of steel. And now you can simply reach in and in one sweeping motion pull out your bolt. Now this bolt design is a tilting breech design, kind of like what you might see in an SKS. It's kind of got a wedge design that interacts with the machining here on the plate carrier, or the carrier plate, whatever you want to call it. Originally that retained to this, or was two pieces with a screw. I can't exactly remember the schematics, but very interesting. You do have kind of a dual extractor system on this. It is a spring-loaded firing pin. However, all of those pieces are retained by pins. And these aren't roll pins either. These are machined pins. And the rear locking shoe or horn on this bolt is what mates into the receiver to keep it locked up. And that also adds to its smoothness. Instead of having a second swiveling locking piece like you will find on a lot of shotguns, that also has to be milled so that the firing pin can fit through a channel below it. A lot of milling work goes into that, and it has multiple pieces. They are strong, but this one is one solid piece of metal. It's one big chunker, and it definitely works very well. Very stable, very strong action. And you're pretty much done. So the action will slide back and forth, and this is as far as really you need to go, unless you need to place in a round restrictor, a tube plug, just to keep it from being able to take more than 2 rounds in the tube for waterfowl hunting or whatever restrictions you have in your local state. Now the choke tube system, although it is early 50s, it's going to be very reminiscent of today's modern chokes. You're just going to give it a counterclockwise screw, and your choke system comes right out. Now you can clean it. Reassembly is fairly easy. It's the exact reverse. And that's about it. Now, if you want to see how to take apart this is going to be in part 2. And I will actually have a reassembly video for it. So stay tuned for that. However, thanks for the viewership. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, post them in the comments below. And as always, keep your powder dry and God bless. This is Drake, signing off.